Hello, 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 testing, testing, microphone check, Limbus check, all seems to be in order. Hello, and did I click the wrong button? God damn it. I clicked the wrong button. Yeah, I did. All right, hello and welcome once again to our, final episodes of the Daily Mirror Dungeon ID Study, book reading, and the Mirror Dungeon. Today, we are going to be using a team that was recommended by one of you. That's right, today we're going to be using the R-Corp 4th Pack Reindeers, that is Ishmael, Rhodia, and Honglu. And to aid us in that journey of friendship and very stable individuals, we have a friendly fire counter that we're going to keep there. It says fried instead of friendly. Oops. Friendly, there we go. Friendly fire counter. Well, to keep in spirit of things, let's do a quick review of the IDs that we're going to be using today, and then let's build a team around them, and then finally deploy them to the dungeon. Of course, no rules today. We're just going to play to have a good time for these last few days of our mirror dungeons here, before we switch to our weekly format for Limbus Company, Start Lobotomy Corporation, Powered, and whatever else comes, and the new overlay as well. And today we are finally finishing Crime and Punishment as well, so that tomorrow's stream will be a quicker one, because tomorrow we are going to have Tabletop as well. So it's going to be a double stream Wednesday tomorrow. And finally, Thursday, we're going to have Walpurgis, new overlay, and etc, etc. So let's get started. R-Corp 4th Pack Reindeer Ishmael, one of the launch IDs of Limbus Company, and still quite powerful today. How you doing, Soek? I see you on Twitch. How you do? R-Corp 4th Pack Reindeer, one of the launch IDs, and still quite powerful today. We know her as the funny friendly fire ID. Her skill tree, if she doesn't have enough charge, will hit one of your teammates again. We have this here for a reason. She has a attack power up based on Gloom Resonance, but it makes her lose SP, which is, not always good. Doing good. Was kind of boring about you? Could be better. Today was kind of a boring day as well. It is a Tuesday after all. Tuesday tends to be some of the most boring days. It's not Monday, so it's not as miserable, and it's not quite Wednesday yet, so it's not like, finally the middle of the week. It's just an in-between point. Just like Thursday. I don't like these days, but still. Coming back here. R-Corp Ishi is a sinking charge ID. Back in the day we already had a dual keyword ID, so nothing new here. We got a skill 1 that rolls higher than a 16, but it's a single coin. A skill 2, sorry, not skill 1. A skill 1 that rolls higher than the baseline that we have nowadays. This baby runs a 14 base. No need for charge, no need for status ailments on the enemy, just rolls a 14. But it has no escalation, but it's still rolling way above its weight, considering everything that we have been discussing on this daily mirror dungeon and all that. And the skill tree is the funny skill that has 4 6 power coins with a 2 base power. It does target random allies if you don't have enough charge, so this is what we gotta watch out for, so we don't have to update this. It's the funny Mind Whip skill. It rolls a 26 maximum with no conditionals. As long as you have charge, that is going to roll good. No mystery here, it's just an ID that rolls really well, and she has an evade that gives her charge count on evade, so you can pretty much charge it up from turn 1 if you're doing a focused encounter or a solo even, and get all your charge in a single turn. It's a 14 evade, it's pretty alright. Nothing much to talk about this ID, it's a launch ID. They were very simple, very simplistic. We're just gonna keep track of the sins it can use, that is Gloom, Envy, Wrath, so that we can equip some nice eagles on her. This is a charge and a sinking unit, so anything that is sinking, anything that is charged is good for us. Let's take a start with our 100-footed maggot here, which is sinking rupture. Its passive gives defense level up for us, so this is pretty good. We're gonna equip it right away in case we need it, but since we're running a 3-man team without rules of the dungeon today, I don't think we're gonna need it. Bygone Days is another good sinking gift. Passive give us uninvited to give us clash power, and we apply uninvited on the enemy by using this, and we gain attack weight based on our Gloom Resonance. So again, more reasons to use Gloom Resonance because of her attack power up, but she loses sanity doing that. Strategy. And finally, we only have one option for a wild tier. Moving on to the second release Arcorp for Reindeer, which is, I believe, the fourth pack one. Honglu, I think he came before Rhodia. I am not sure now. Not gonna check. But anyway, let's go for Honglu. Honglu is a little bit different than Rhodia in terms of how he operates. Still has the funny skill that will attack your teammates if you don't have enough charge, but instead of being the third skill, it is the second skill. And this is the time where he had something called, we started using Unfocused Volley. As I have explained before, back when we were playing with Rian Yiseng, Unfocused Volley means that you don't have control of where your AoE is going. It is just going, it is just happening. You're doing an AoE and it's targeting people at random from the group of enemies. So it is a little inconsistent in terms of damage. Its passive is that he is a new generation charge unit, so the more charge he consumes, the more powerful he becomes. Once he's charged up, he inflicts more sinking and he deals more damage as well. Skill 2 is the one that we should watch out for. If we don't have enough charge, he will indiscriminately attack people. So we want to be at least at +5 charge and ideally at +10. Let's equip ourselves with some Eagle. There's not really much to talk about him either. It's a charge unit with some sinking. Starting with Zine, we don't have really a choice here. There is only one line for Honglu so far. Tef, we have Cavernous Wailing, which is for Tremor, not very good for us. Soder, which does give us some HP healing or SP healing. It's a little bit of SP healing, I suppose. Lasso is for Rupture and Bleed. Roseate Desire is for Lust. And Cavernous Wailing is for Tremor. We're gonna go ahead with, Magical Girl Honglu. Hello there, Moises. How are you doing? Moving on to the He level, we have Dimension Shredder, Remain Oneself, and the Perverse Corrosion. Prevent Corrosion is for Rupture. We don't use Rupture. Dimension Shredder gives us charge and haste, as well as giving us self-revive based on charge. So we're gonna go right ahead and use that. We could use to Remain Oneself, but because it gives us a very nice damage up based on Thunderer, which is the unique status effects it gives us, but I'd rather have the Immortality. And we only have one Wall Ego, we are not planning to use, really. Just entertain request, it's potential duel. I'll check it out for tomorrow, as tomorrow is our final daily stream before Wall Purges and the new overlay as well. Anyway, moving on to Rhodia, one of the saddest uptie stories in the game so far. It's really depressing, this one, compared to the other one. In any case, her passive, same thing as before. She is a new generation charge unit, meaning the more charge she uses, the more powerful she gets. So, and she's low HP against final power. She does more sinking. She gains sinking and doubles the amount of sinking if if the main target does not have sinking. These units are charged sinking with some self-sinking application to mimic their antlers, giving them a headache. Her skill 1, 344, 11 roller, has escalation based on charge on self. Skill 2, same thing, and skill 3, this is the dangerous one. This is the one that we want to be at high charge to use, ideally at 10+. So we gotta keep track of it. For Honglu is the skill 2, which is the Envy skill. For both Rhodia and the Ishmael, it's the skill 3, which is the red ones. Other than that, not much else to talk here. It is our Arcorp unit. It is a standard fare unit. Not much to talk about here. You charge it up, you get more powerful, you inflict sinking on enemies, and you watch out for that, friendly fire, which isn't friendly at all. Let's equip some Eagles onto her, which is going to be starting with Zine. We have Into the Sunset, which I basically haven't used, and I don't think we have Lust to use here, so we're gonna stick with what is cast. We're gonna go with Rhyme Shank. We're gonna equip Pursuance for the heals, and finally Indicant's Trial for the AoE. There's really not much choice here. She doesn't have lots of charge or sinking support here. He only has Rhyme Shank. Our Corporation is so forgotten, I bet half the people don't know the third Corp Reindeer. She was released as a standard fare for Christmas, so what can you do? Anyway, again, we have already used these units way back in the past. There isn't much to talk about them. The gimmick of these units is simple. They have powerful AoEs and powerful attacks, but if you use those powerful attacks without enough charge, they will hurt your teammates, or high likelihood of hurting your teammates. We're very used to that in Limbus Company. Hello there, acidic trauma. We're kind of used to that in Limbus Company, but it's an ideal to heal your teammates for no advantage. House of Spiders Ryoshu kill her teammates to gain massive buffs. Yiseng with Fell Bullet kills his teammates for massive damage. This here is just, oh shit, I didn't have enough charge, I'm gonna hurt my teammates for no purpose. So this is the only thing we have to watch out for this thing. Be charged up before you use your skills. By the way, the LCCB Ryoshu solo today, nice! LCCB Ryoshu, if I recall correctly, has one skill that uses bullets, but the Tremor and Rupture application is insane. The LCCB units are insane in terms of Rupture, Tremor, and debuff application. I did a run with them, the trio, I think it's trio, whatever. And they did pretty damn well. Anyway, let's begin building the team. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. This is a team that is going to see self-applying sinking, and they need charge to function. W Corp Cleanup Agent Yiseng gives us more damage on targets with Rupture. So we're not going to use that because it's kind of out there. It doesn't really matter. Let's see. We do have Lobotomy, Ego, Sullen, Lament, which we will be using soon, but quite a lot because of the minigun. And it does have Butterfly. Butterfly is more damage on our sinking, so we're gonna go straight for that. For Faust, in terms of sinking and charge, we have Wuthering Heights Butler, which is heal SP against enemies with sinking. And for charge, we have the Multicrack Office Representative, which gives us charge on kill. Of course, we're gonna go with that because we wanna stay charged up. For Don Quixote, we will use... That's what the W Corp Cleanup Agent does. Final power on the first skill for the fastest unit. I guess it's okay. One final power is nice, but isn't there something else we could use? I don't think so. This is for aggro, middle, evading, fanaticism, slash, critical slash, less damage from tremor units, berserker, extra damage with low health, more haste against burn units. Actually, Lobotomy, Ego, Dawn. Oh, what do you do again? If among allies that gain charge count using their base attack skills, one ally that has the least charge count uses the base attack skills that gain charge count, thus that ally gains 2 charge count. At 0 or higher SP, heal, charge on target, HP. That said, it's a nice little heal. Finally, something that you can help with a charge team. Do we have Envy in our team? We do. We have plenty of Envy. Nice. LCB Ishmael's Tremor application on her scoot is pretty good. I'd say it is, for Ishmael, it's insane. And for Ryoshu, that skill tree hits quite hard. Deceptively hard, as a matter of fact. As a matter of fact, we're gonna go see Ryoshu IDs that can help with the charge team. But yeah, this hits deceptively hard. And the amount of Tremor application is... Tremor and Rupture application is really damn nice. It's almost as if they are support units, you know? But this game only cares about the big boy units that deal the big boy damage, so we're barely gonna see any proper support units in the field. We're always gonna see a full team of House of Spiders dealing the big boy damage, because why would you take a unit for support if you can just do big damage? Disregarding the fact that the big strategies for speedrunning always have some sort of like Ishmael LCCB dealing a fuck ton of Rupture with her skill true and something like that. Anyway, Ryoshu has, for our team today, a kill, charge on kill, which is exactly what we need. The more charge, the better. We could take Lobotomy, Ego, Red Eyes, and Penitence for Health Hauler, Mind Hauler. That is 3 HP and 3 SP per turn, as long as we do an Envy Resonance, but we're not gonna do that. Hello, Thomas Mars. Moving on to the big man himself, Merso, we have W Corp's True Cleanup Agent. Gives us more Rupture. Not what we're looking for, and I don't think he's gonna be able to support us in any way, shape, or form, now that I think of it. Never mind, here we go. Max speed per 5 charge count makes us faster. Although I am thinking the Ring Fulvus for debuffs instead of just making us faster based on charge, which is not what we're looking for here. The Etsy Association gives us shield based on discard, I believe, so can't use that either. Let's go with Ring Fulvus for extra damage. Moving on to Heathcliff. How can Heathcliff help us? How about you, W Corp Agent? What do you do for us? Combat start. If the unit with the earliest deployment order gains charge count past the max charge count cap by using a skill, the unit gains charge barrier next turn for every charge count that exceeds the max charge count cap. Max 3 including eagle skills. Gives us survivability if we are overcharging. Interesting. But there is an even more interesting ID for charge for Heathcliff, which is the multi-crack office fixer that gives us more charge. It makes us have a higher charge cap, which is very nice. So we're gonna go with that. Moving on to Sinclair. Sinclair does not have a charge ID at all. I keep forgetting that some IDs, some sinners do not have certain keywords at all, ever. He does not have a single charge ID. Mayhaps it has to do with his family being brutally murdered and because they had prosthetics, maybe. Who knows? A mystery. In any case, he still needs to support us in some way or form, so we're gonna go with Los Mariachis Jefe because you can't really go wrong with that one, can it? Moving on to Otis. Otis has a W Corp. Ally has consumed the most charge, deals 10% more damage for the skill that consumes 7 charge count, 1 per turn. This would make basically our skills hit harder, or big boy skills, the Mind Whips, but it requires a 4 Envy Resonance. I could just take base Otis for that. That is a 30% damage increase against enemies with lower sanity, or enemies below 0 sanity, matter of fact. And since we are sinking charge, let's go with that. And finally, Gregor. Gregor does have a very good charge support in the form of LC Eagle Gregor, but again, it requires Envy Resonance. 3 allies with the earliest deployment order each heal HP equal to the sum of charge count and unique charge count consumed by each of their own attack skills this turn, respectively. Max 10 HP. That is a team-wide heal by using charge. So it is Geets G Corp Manager Corporal Gregor out of the water because of this heal. It is not a uncapped heal per clash, but it's a team-wide heal. And I much prefer a team-wide heal over a heal per clash in this instance here. Maybe his wife for defense help. That's just him in the costume. He's going to the costume. You know that he's going to the costume. You know he is going into the costume. He doesn't really have much in the way of support for charge because he's, you know, the wee babby's German boy. He's not gonna charge himself up. I got an idea for a daily MD and it's called Love Town. Interesting. You may submit your request and I will still look at the team requests you guys make. However, I've been talking about this a lot in my previous stream, so let me just make sure everyone understands. From now on, after this stream tomorrow, we are going to switch up Limbus Company to a weekly format because we're going to be doing Lobotomy Corporation, Library of Ruina, other games as well at my desire, because we're going to change up things how the channel is working. I talked about that a few billion times now, so I'm not going to reiterate every single point. But the point is, Limbus Company is still going to stay. We're still going to do Mirror Dungeons hard, Mirror Dungeons extreme, but not daily anymore. Anyway, let's just deploy with our usual stuff here because, like again, we're not following rules of the dungeon anymore because I want to have fun. I want to play the game, have a good time, and once we enter the weekly format, things are going to change, yada yada. I'm repeating myself again. Anyway, let's begin. Should I take... I don't want to take a gift right now. I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't need it. We took our starter gift, we took our Grace of the Stars, and we deploy into the dungeon. Oh yes, make sure everyone is nice and hydrated. Let's begin then. Lakeward, to be pierced or to be cleaved. To be pierced has crabs and the Rose Spanner Workshop, so I want to avoid that. To be cleaved, I am fairly sure features enemies from the manor, and I don't want to go there, despite both of them having very good gifts, very attractive gifts too. But we're gonna go for Lakeward. Lakeward is still a little bit easier. And we got extra pierce power. No, we got critical hits. Anyway, let me just put this on the screen now so that we can keep track of it. Molar Office, he's saying it Otis with any W Corp IDs. Interesting. So, our deployment order is going to be Honglu first, because he's stronger, I believe, followed by these two groups. So, what? Let's keep track. Red on Rhodia and Ishmael, bad if not charged up. Purple on the... on Honglu, also bad. This one is not the bad one, right? Alright, here we go. Let's try and keep track of that so that we don't accidentally fry our own guys. Alright, so now we did our ID study, we did our team building, and we're just having a good time now. How's everyone doing? I already said how I'm doing, so let's just get ourselves nice and acquainted here. I don't have much to talk right now. How much do you consume? 10 char, you have 14. You can do a little treat. This one requires 10 or 3. Let's charge up a little more. Tomorrow we are gonna have the tabletop, Project Team tabletop that I do, because my players had to reschedule from Sunday to the middle of the week. And I have like a 5-page script ready for them tomorrow. No combat though, so it's gonna be a very roleplay heavy session tomorrow in the afternoon. I'm considering streaming it or not, because again, there's only going to be roleplay for the most part. I do have a combat scenario sort of hooked up, but I'm not entirely sure if we're gonna roll with it. Alright, so we're gonna request with 3 specific IDs. I will check it out, but remember, it's now tomorrow. I don't know which team I'm gonna do. Probably something like Kurokumo or one of you guys' teams. But again, we're switching Limbus to a weekly basis, no longer daily. So it might take a while to get to your teams. Keep that in mind. And since we're gonna be doing weeklies instead of dailies, we're probably gonna do extremely redundant with the teams that you guys deploy. So, you know, it's gonna be a little bit more of a stress test for those ideas. Alright, we are not charged up enough for this, but we're gonna do it anyway. Once you got enough charge gifts going on for this team, you can just use whatever skills you want, and it's going to do well, because they're gonna have enough charge not to, you know, instantly kill your team. Let me put my headphones on. I want to hear the sound effects, because the sound effect for Mind Whip is really, really good. There we go. Off we go. Into the mystery pack, we got Red Order. Give me the Red Order, because that is good for our team. Boink, boink, boink. Yeah. Red Order. When an ally inflicts sinking potency, counter, or unique sinking on enemies with skill effects, on the ally gains 1 offense level. Next turn, allies with gloom or wrath affinity attack skills upon inflicting sinking potency or count on enemies with skill effects gain 2 offense level. So, good defense levels all around. Very nice. Very, very nice. So, I feel like I need to ask this, and I'm gonna ask it tomorrow. How is everyone ready for Walpurgis? Because I am. Let's see. How is our charge doing? That is Honglu. Don't use your purple yet. You can use your purple very nicely. Again, I keep thinking that today is Wednesday. My sense of time has been completely warped these last few days, and I don't know why. How are you with charge? You need 10 to use your special ability. So charge it up, boy. Why did I use an evade? Oh well, I used an evade on accident. Anyway, my sense of time has been completely warped this week. I started this week on Monday as everybody else, but for me I started on Tuesday. And today is Tuesday, and I keep thinking it's Wednesday for some reason. Alright, how are you, Queen? Are you charged up? Are you ready to go? Then pop that super skill. What about you? You're not ready. But you are. Right, zap these pirates. I think this is the most painful IDs for Dante to revive. Because not only do they have to revive them when they die from, you know, normal death, but he also probably inherits the headache. Are you charged up, boy? You are charged up enough? Yes.
전투에 임하겠습니다.
Fried. Deep fried pirate. Straight the meat made off the bone.
소란이 줄었네요.
This thing sounds wrong, man. This thing sounds very wrong to listen to. It's a lot of grunting and I don't like it. Oh yeah, she gets the helmet once she's charged up, unlike the other two. It's such a nice little detail that certain R-Corp units get the helmet when they're charged up. I think the first one we got like this was K-Corp Honglu. No, not K-Corp Honglu. It was R-Corp Rabbit. R-Corp Rabbit, because he's the release ID. Yeah. Alright, let's get the Zippo lighter, because that's free stuff. And that's it. We can't get Scarlet Moths unless we sell something. We could sell this. I think Poise is nice, though. We have Gloom skills, so it actually benefits for us to power this up. But we're gonna power battery socket because we want charge. We want that power. We want infinite power. We're gonna sap him like magic. And this goes again to show that if you want to have magic in your modern setting or your sci-fi setting, just make it technology. This is technology, but these are wizards. This is the wizard team we're running. There's no smokes or mirror. These are wizards. They just beat people up with their stats. Same way that when I made that joke about A.D. Gregor being a wizard and I even put a wizard hat on him. So yeah. These are just wizards. Alright, there's a big chance that we are gonna friendly fire here. I think not. We'll see. I'm gonna be very impressed if we actually get through this dungeon without a single friendly fire incident. But we already have a powerful charge item, so there is a big possibility that it's not going to happen. You are charged up. You are charged up. Fry them up, Honglu. I yearn for some fried seafood. And it's gonna be good. A little hairy, but good.
소란이 줄었네요.
Alright, Honglu, how are you charged up? We can do 2 of these, nice. Alright, Honglu, rock your mind whip them into submission. Let's sing that song again. Where there's a whip, there is a way. Ah, there we go. We have a friendly fire incident. Haha, it happened. I thought he had enough charge to do 2 of those. I was wrong. I was completely wrong. How interesting. Here we go. We got our first friendly fire incident. Well done, R4 team. No wonder you guys got destroyed by the Ravens after this. Did we lose a sinner? I feel like we lost a sinner. No, we're fine. We're fine. Blue. There's no need. Much better. Alright, let's fry them up. I'm kind of excited for tomorrow, the tabletop, because I love tabletop. At the same time, I'm a little tired and I don't know why. Just last 2 days, maybe maybe a good long hot bath will get me back. Because again, I'm temporarily misaligned. I keep thinking it's a day that is going to be tomorrow is today, and it's not. I guess I'm just anxious for Walpurgis Power World 1.0 that is coming out, which I am going to attempt to stream because I do like Power World. And it's probably not going to run well, but I still want to attempt to stream it. Very excited for Power World, as a matter of fact, because I always wanted a monster catching game where I could beat the monsters up myself. If we had armor sets based on the POWs on Power World, I would just play it forever because it's basically Monster Hunter at that point. Right? Dry her up. Show him who's the boss of this port town. I just thought he went and killed Ishmael, but I forgot there was another pirate there. I was kind of scared for a moment there. To give me the cost. On to the floor 2. Easy peasy so far. We take Dreaming Electric Ship or Curriculum Vitae. Envy. Envy Absolute Residence. Let's gain defense level. That is the best option out of the other one. The other one's Tremor Gifts. We're not in Tremor Town yet. Oh my, let's go for Hell's Chicken right away. Although we do have some very good stuff here. But Hell's Chicken. Always take Hell's Chicken if you can, because Hell's Chicken gifts are no joke. What do we got here? It is Tango Marinade. Give me the Tango Marinade. That is incredibly powerful Clash Power. Go over here. What do we got? Chicken's Chicken, duh. 2 free tier 3 Eagle gifts that are very powerful for their respective keywords, and you don't have to pass any tests, you just get it.
빨리 시작하시죠.
Today, by the way, we're gonna finish Crime and Punishment, because I decided it's going to be today that we're gonna finish Crime and Punishment once and for all. No more Crime and Punishment. Book reading is going to be relegated to its own streams, probably on the weekend, maybe. I'll decide upon that when it gets to that. But yeah, no more book reading on stream except for its own streams, or maybe I'll read it on my own. I don't know if a lot of people are terribly interested in me reading the books of the sinners, and I don't exactly have the best voice for that. I'm not exactly a professional reader of books or anything of the like. So maybe I could just camp the book reading stuff off the stream entirely and just focus on the games. Maybe in the future I can do that. I would love to reread some of these books in a proper format, because let's remember, let's reminisce a little bit. If you were here for the previous, the older streams before I overhauled the overlay the first time, I was attempting to read a page of the book for every combat encounter that we completed in the Mirror Den. This was a poorly thought out attempt of integrating the whole book reading aspect that I wanted to introduce, because again, I'm a teacher, I try to teach things because teaching is fun, for me at least, in some regards. And I tried to integrate the teaching aspect that I wanted to put in my streams into something related to Limbus. So I did a little funny haha where every combat encounter that we completed was a page we collected from the book, and then we would read those pages at the end, kind of like Library of Ruin, you know? And, well, it didn't work out all that well. I tried reading in between combat encounters and we lost track of what the hell was happening in the book. I tried reading during combat, it didn't work out very well. I tried reading after the stream, the number of pages we acquired, it ended up being a lot of pages, and I would lose steam midway, so... Not steam the program, steam as in my motivation to keep going, you know, fade out as I was reading, so it didn't end up well. And then I opted to just read a chapter per stream, which I thought it was working pretty well, but then again, I don't keep track of how many people are still watching, or anyone is still interested. I just wanted to read a book on stream, and I did. And still, I feel like I'm trying to cram far too many things in a single stream. So I just rather opt to have, like, this episode, this stream is going to be about book reading, so we can focus just on the book reading rather than do an ID study, a mirror dungeon, and etc. etc. So we don't lose track of the good stuff. The good stuff that how much charge do you have right now? 17? Okay, you can use your purple skill. So I'd rather have the streams be focused episodes on one thing. Maybe one day I'll do like, today's a variety stream. We're gonna play whatever game I want. There's no thumbnail specific for it. But I want to keep the streams focused on one thing. If I say I'm gonna play Power Word, I'm gonna try and stream Power Word for X amount of time. Streams are gonna be around 2 hours anyway, so we're gonna stream for a little bit. But we're not gonna stop Power Word in the middle of Power Wording and then go play something else unless something bad happens. I did have this happen once on stream where I tried to go for a mirror dungeon on Wednesday and they moved up the maintenance time of the mirror dungeon. I just ended up playing some synthetic and then I deleted that stream. But I don't want to do that again. So it is, again, I end up getting caught in this ramble hole about how I'm going to conduct the channel once the fated day arrives. But the fated day is almost here. It's the Walpurgis day that is the fated day. New overlay, new everything. And I need to stop talking about this kind of stuff because it's not really that interesting. I'm just rambling here. In any case, have we gotten any news about any other content coming out aside from Walpurgis? And not that I mind Walpurgis all that much, it's just that, you know, there were more stuff that we were promised, I believe. There was the new game mode, which you have here no hair nor tail about. God, I thought it was friendly fire accident again. Who's calling me? It's not from my hometown, I don't care. There we go. Headless portrait that is sinking on all enemies. Nice. Pierce. Let's go for the secret event here. And we got talisman. Remove the doll talismans. Give me the free rupture per hit. The critical doll is good, but we're not critical maxing. Wrist guards, more damage, so that when we finally get a friendly fire, we just blow up. Prejudice would be nice in a team that had more pride than this. We have not an ounce of pride in this goober, so it's just 50% healing at the beginning of the round, so I'll pass for now. We're just gonna upgrade wrist guards and curriculum vitae. There we go, very nice. Let's upgrade our poise and leave. Chicken's chicken, duh. Most wise words not ever said to those corporate employees somehow, indeed. Dante is a very, very wise gourmet of chicken. How am I? I could be doing better, Thomas. I'm good. Streaming, I'm having fun. I love moves and all that. Just that I've been preoccupied with the things, circumstances of life lately. This is the big event. I think we're all weak to blood, no? Yeah, everyone's cool with blunt. Everyone's cool. For once, we're cool with blunt, that is. Rhodia, protect yourself. Water. There wasn't, drinking this water reminds me, I was reading a little bit of Bhakti the other day, and there was a specific chapter where the author of Bhakti told, what is the most delicious thing in the world? And he said, it's water. And I don't know if this was just a character he made or it was his personal experience, but he said something along the lines that the character or himself, again, don't remember which is which, if it was an actual thing he did or something else, said like, once I went to a training camp for the military because I have to participate in the military every now and then, whatever, and I had to lose a lot of weight really, really quickly to be on the military. So he went through a very hardcore training where he dehydrated himself a lot. And then when he drank the water while in that state of dehydration, he said, this is the most delicious thing I've ever drank in my entire life. And ever since then, he's been doing the same things periodically, where he go a long period of time without any drop of water while exercising, to the point that his body cannot produce a drop of sweat. And then when he reached that state of pure dehydration, he would come home and drink a big tall glass of ice cold water. And again, that was for in this little story, that was the single most delicious thing in the world for him. More than anything else, more than gourmet food, it's like satiating a primal need for water because you're in a situation where your body is desperately screaming at you that I need water and I need it now. And I kind of agree with it. Once you're really thirsty, water is delicious. Once you're really hungry, even the most sloppiest of slop foods is delicious. Your body has a way of tricking you where when you're in desperate need of something, that something is going to be extremely delicious for no other reason that I need it and need it now. It's literally a reward system for doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing. Because you're not giving me enough, I'm gonna give you a little treat, you know? So go get me food or we're gonna blow up. And if you get the food before we blow up, it's going to be real good. We're gonna reward you. Your brain's gonna release all those feel-good chemicals. It's really weird how the body works sometimes. As a matter of fact, and we haven't evolved that much past cavemen. Sure, there has been some changes, bone structure and all that, but your body still behaves as if you're in the wild because civilization is, given the context of evolution and all that, is a rather recent thing. Kill that chicken, fried with a mind power. Anyway, given that our bodies have not adapted to the idea of civilization that we have food, especially in first world, third world, second world countries, not the super extreme countries where you don't have any guarantee of food, that, let me just got my gifts here, me, there we go. It doesn't understand that sometimes you're hungry, yes, but it's not that when you're not going to blow up. It's like you have food at home, but your body's going to go, we're starving, we need to eat now. And then you end up eating fast food or garbage because your body is demanding food and you need to feed it because he doesn't know that we have food. And one of the responses for our body to being hungry is lowering our metabolism. Especially if you're on a diet, they have these things called cheat days. And it's not an excuse that you can eat garbage and just, because the cheat day, I'm gonna reward myself by eating a lot of shitty food or tasty shitty food, or no. The idea of a cheat day is to fool your body into thinking that, yes, body, I have sufficient nutrients. See, I'm eating lots of calories. I'm happy. We're happy. We're happy. We have food. You don't need to lower your metabolism because there is food. This is how it works, cheat days. You're going to a restrictive diet. You're consuming less calories, right? Because you need those calories to function. You're consuming less calories. And your body's going, okay, we don't have enough energy. That's holy shit. We need to switch to emergency mode. We are going to starve. We're not going to find any food. And then it starts lowering your metabolism, which makes you slow down, feel shitty, etc. etc. Nice jobs. Nice job, Ishmael. You did great. If you suddenly get a huge influx of food in your system, you get your body to think, okay, false alarm, we don't have to lower the metabolism, there's the food, our body managed to hunt down something to eat, so we're good. That's the idea for cheat days. So you enter a diet, you lower your consumption of calories, of other stuff, while still you have to diet properly, right? So you lower your consumption of calories, and then your body's gonna freak out, and then you do a cheat day to tell him that it's okay, we're good, and eventually your body will get used to the idea of eating less food. Because once you go up in, like, I need to eat food, your body takes a while to go back down from, I don't need to eat as much food. It's a process. It's not a miracle cure that, now I am going to slim up. Now I am going to change my diet. And then you stop eating as much, like you cut down your food by 1/4 of what you used to eat. And your body's not going to understand that. Your body is slow to adapt. What you do is you lower your amount of food gradually. You don't go from eating big meals to small meals like in a snap of your fingers like that. You have to fool your body into understanding that we are having less food now. You have to understand, body, we're not gonna eat as much. And the point is, I forgot where I started with this. Oh yes, water. I was talking about Baki and water. Anyway, that's that. I just wanted to rant about that because today I haven't drank a lot of water. I filled up this 1 liter bottle and I've been drinking for it. And I haven't tasty as hell. Maybe the fact that I'm so tired is just that I'm very dehydrated right now. Maybe that's why. By the way, did we have a friendly fire incident just now? Because how did Honglu get staggered? I wasn't paying attention. I will check on the VOD later, but yeah. How did that happen, huh? Honglu, you have something to tell me that you didn't? Go, fixing copies are good. Hey, didn't want to turn this Limbus stream into health stream. I am not a educated professional of physical education. I did some research myself and I know some things, so don't take my advice as, you know, word of law. I'm not a student of physical, physical education. I am a student of language, English specifically, which I haven't really studied because I am a bastard. I should be studying, but instead I just stand all day watching reaction swap on YouTube while drinking some coffee and lingering on my desk. Because for some reason, ever since I was working a 9 to 5, I Pavloved myself into not being able to play video games in the afternoon. My mind goes, this is wrong, you should be doing something else, and as a result, I can't play video games in the afternoon anymore. I can only play video games at night, during stream time or after stream time. Because I'm weird like that, you know. It will take a while, or I haven't found the right game to break the conditioning of you can't play video games in the afternoon, you're a grown adult, you should be at your job. Even though I work in the morning, that's literally, I work in the morning. So I don't know why I have this whole can't play video games in the afternoon. It's not too hot, and I don't have a lot of games that run my computer super hot anyway. Carmilla. Nice, and extra Pierce power. Let's go over here. Let's do a replay of that fight. What's going on here? Thank you, little things, for using your counters. That means I can just ignore you. That's wonderful. I've been thinking about Crime and Punishment a lot lately, since we're almost at the end. We're in the epilogue right now, and you know, we're really, and I see. It's the problem with Crime and Punishment. Let's talk about Limbus then, shall we? Let's talk about Limbus. Let's talk about Rhodia, the special lady who has the infinite pockets for food. The problem with Crime and Punishment, in the setting of the city, is that the crime that Rhodia committed wasn't really that bad, given the setting we're in. You know? In Crime and Punishment, it happened in our world, some 18s, something, 800s, whatever. It happens in the past. And so, her killing the moneylender and the sister for money is horrible. Terrible crime in that time. In the city, however, killing someone for their pocket change and money, it's kind of a whatever. Like, okay, wow, you killed the old lady for money. That's big news. Her whole crime that had the repercussion, bigger repercussion, is that fact that the old lady had the connection with the middle, and the middle came to, you know, do their middle business, where they beat everyone to death because they couldn't find who killed her. That's the whole point. They couldn't figure out who killed her, so they started killing everyone. In Crime and Punishment, we see the world bend over backwards for Rodion Raskolnikov so that he can get away with the crime. Because when he meant he was getting, you know... Oh, is Honglu going to obliterate one of us with Mind Whip? No, okay. When Rodion was being investigated, there was no proof that he did it. He was completely in the clear. And when Porphyry, the investigator, was on his ass, using his full psychology to pen him in, he when Rodion was about to confess and say that he did it, and someone just waltzed right in and said, "It was me who killed her with an axe." So divine providence in the highest of levels happened for Rodion Romanovich in Crime and Punishment for him to get away from all this shit. He could have kept his ass quiet about it if he didn't have a conscience. Everything was falling in place for him to get away with his crime scot-free. He managed to get rid of losing, was going to marry his sister. Razumiki was going to open a bookshop, print thing, translator, with his sister, his mother, and him. They were in the clear for a real good time, but Rodion has a conscience and couldn't keep it for himself. He thought he was special, that he would be able to kill the old woman to progress, to prove his theory, but wasn't able to. And unfortunately on Limbus Company, all the characters weren't really reflected. Sonia turned into Lebeziatnikov. If you recall, probably not, Lebeziatnikov is the roommate that was living with Luzin, which was the guy that's going to marry Rodi's sister. And Lebeziatnikov is a liberal communist guy. And Sonia was just the daughter of the drunk that Raskolnikov helped. In Limbus, Sonia became the leader of a communist party that wants to bring a communist revolution to the city, and that's it. I think that's all the characters we get from Rodia's past is literally just Sonia and the old lady, which I don't think had a name. Which is why I kind of want to do a replay of Kanto 2 to check out what if I missed something, or if there's something else that we could have looked at, you know? Because just because they could have adapted to something more, but again, Kanto 2 suffers a problem where Kanto 1 was mostly there to introduce the setting for people joining in, because not everybody paid lobotomy or lottery agreement. And so the first Kanto serves its purpose to torture Gregor and tell you, aha, this isn't like your other gachas because it's dark and fucked up. Anyway, this world is dark and fucked up. So that's for Kanto 1. Gregor gets tortured. We don't really have a change of heart from Gregor. We just get an introduction to everybody. Things are fucked up and evil. Characters will die in the blink of an eye. That's Yuri's purpose, for example. Not only to be like an analog for Gregor's sister, but also to understand that, hey, we might encounter some characters along the road. And these characters, not all of them are going to survive, because this isn't like the other gachas where you collect people as you go around the fight. They will die. They will die right in front of you. You get these 12 goobers, these 12 sinners, and that's it. That's your 12 sinners. Congratulations. There's no more. That's all your characters are gonna get. That's Kanto 1. Kanto 2 is more light-hearted because these goobers are trying to know each other, and it works for the purpose of getting you to endear yourself with your 12 goobers. Because, again, you're not getting any more goobers to help you along your journey through hell. You get the Kanto where they are all having Dungeons and Dragons shenanigans where Sinclair is dancing with the maracas and Yoshu is teaching a gang profanities and all that. That's the purpose of Kanto 2. We again don't have a character development for Rodia because her book only is a very extensive one. The crime she committed in the book isn't that grave in the city. What happened is there were a lot of consequences to her actions, which probably weighted more on her conscience. It's, imagine, again, if we're talking crime and punishment, imagine that instead of the war bending over backwards so that Rodion Raskolnikov can escape, his act of killing the old lady and her sister brought the brother of the old lady with a bunch of goons on a mad rampage trying to find whoever killed it, by just beating the shit out of everyone. In certain way, that would be even worse for Rodion. Let me just collect this. Give me more water. Give me more water. We're just talking about water. Give it more water. Give it more water. I don't care. I'm gonna sprinkle you with water. Get hydrated. There you go. Thank Thank you. Anyway, as I was going, if there was a brother for the old moneylender, and he came around and said, I'm gonna find whoever killed my sister, and I'm gonna beat everyone to death if they don't show up. And because of his action, Rodion gets someone else hurt. Rodion would have given himself up on the spot. And here we have a problem for, applying the crime that was committed into the city. Rodion didn't step up. Rodion's Limbus company, when the middle came around to punish whoever the neighborhood to find the killer of the old lady, because they didn't care. They were there to show what happened if you mess with the middle. Don't do that. And so Rodion knew that even if she decided to step up, her sacrifice wouldn't have saved anyone, because at this point it was too late. And so it created this problem where Rodion didn't do shit. It's not reflected on the character. Oh, we might have a friendly fire incident. No, we'll be fine. And here we have the problem that Kento Chu was, again, mostly to endear ourselves to the sinners, and the fact that, it's difficult to adapt Rodion's crime into the setting of the city, because it wasn't that unthinkable of a crime. It's just that it had different repercussions on the people close to him. Instead of just having a nosy investigator that really wants to know, that really knows that it was you that did it, but he has no proof. It was the middle coming around beating everyone up. So even if Rodion did step up, she wouldn't be able to, the middle wouldn't stop her. It would continue doing, because they need to grandstand. That's the whole thing about the middle. They have to grandstand to show everyone what happens if you crosses. That's the whole thing. But at that point, the middle didn't arrive with like, all right, in 2 days we're gonna beat everyone up if the guy that killed her doesn't step up. The middle just arrived and started beating people up. So even if Rodion wanted to, surrender and say it was me who did it, it was me that killed the old lady, that would have changed nothing. The middle wouldn't have stopped. And at that point, it was already too late, because the middle, again, didn't come to negotiate. We were just going to kill people to show what happened. And so all the people that she was trying to protect Rodion with the money, because this wasn't a thing where Limbus Rodion was stealing the money to further her education. She was stealing the money to feed the people of her back streets that were starving and freezing to death. A very altruistic method, and she was pissed off at Rodion Sonia that he wasn't acting. Everyone is dying, and you're just here talking about your lofty goals and ideals, and you're not doing anything. And you keep saying, we have to wait for the right moment, Rodion. Don't worry. We have to wait for the right moment. It's coming. The revolution is coming, comrade. And that revolution never came, and Rodion got pissed off and decided to act to help the people now, rather than just wait until the revolution came around and changed things. Which, more than most people that talk about this kind of stuff do. But the problem is Rodion was short-sighted and didn't do her research, and ended up getting the people that she was trying to protect killed. That's the whole tragedy of the story. That's Rodion's. Again, it's not as grandiose as some of the other sinners we're having. Much like Ishmael isn't as grandiose as, say, Honglu or Dawn or Hatred. Some of these sinners don't have that spectacular, bombastic of a story, which, once Limbus is gone and done, I want you to try and think about it. Actually, let's think about the current cast that we have. Gregor is a wings-decisive weapon. Rhodia is just a woman from the back streets that killed to try and save people, and the middle killed the people she was trying to protect. Sinclair is still just a German boy that was part of a wealthy family. No, it doesn't count, really. He's just a normal guy. Yiseng is a genius on par with Faust, and he created the mirror technology. Ishmael is just a sailor. She's just a sailor. She has nothing special going on for her. She is literally just that, a sailor. Heathcliff was adopted by a very wealthy family and apparently is a natural-born necromancer because he can just do necromancy now. That is a thing he can just do, and we don't talk about it because whatever. And his shadow copy of him in the mirror world can literally cross dimensions to hunt his own shadow. So he might just be like a guy that was into a wealthy family, but he's really not just any guy, like, say, Rhodia, which is just a woman from the backstreet. He's just a guy that happens to have necromantic powers and was, even though he was mistreated by the family, he was brought into a wealthy family. And then we go to Dawn. Dawn is literally the second kindred of one of the most powerful vampire families in the city. And then we move on to Hong Lu, which is literally the chosen one of the Chinese family of one of the most powerful companies in the city, the H Corp. And one of his ideas, he literally just takes over. And then we move on to Ryoshu, which is, we thought it was just an artist or someone involved with fingers, but she was being trained by some of the best fighters in the setting to become wielder of a relic that can cut people apart. Doesn't all this that I just said make Rhodia feel even smaller, even more pathetic? Because what does she have going for herself? She committed a crime to try and help people, one sin, hundreds of good deeds. But in the end, compared to her compatriots, to the people around her, she is nothing. She is just a normal woman. Yi-Sang is a genius. Heathcliff is a necromancer. Sinclair is the only one that is close to her in terms of like who is the most powerful sinner or whatever. Ishmael as well. Ishmael is just a sailor with nothing to her name. So again, I hope Rhodia gets a little bit more of character development, because as it stands right now, I didn't want that gift to do anything else but that gift. As it stands right now, she doesn't really have much going on. Even if we do give her a new Kanto, which she does need, it's difficult to adapt her stuff to hit as hard as the latest stories we're having. And Merso used to be one of the big guys too on the N-Corp, so some of these sinners are getting left in the dust in terms of how important they are. But again, the sinners have to have some level of importance here. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in Limbus company. They have to have some level of importance because they can attune themselves to find the guilty boats. They aren't just randomly selected. Faust selected these 12 individuals because they can synchronize with the golden bows. They can locate them somewhere. So what we got here? Gloom, gloom, and gluttony. Gloom, 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 gloom. We're fully charged up, baby. Look at that charge. Anyway, I don't know how they will play up Rhodia to be a little more dramatic. Because even Ishmael, being a sailor that she is, she was still part of a magnificent voyage with Captain Ahab to kill the white whale, even though she's just a sailor. Just a normal woman with a harpoon, no special powers, although she did kind of summon Quick Crack at the end there to help her pull the rope of her eagle, but I'll chalk that up to Golden Bow nonsense. Sinclair is also another one that is kind of, he has this, no wait, never mind, forget what I said about Sinclair. Sinclair has the mark. He can summon future versions of himself. I completely forgot about that because I chose to forget because I don't care about Sinclair. So even Sinclair left her behind in the dust. And of course, Faust and Otis are on their own level as well. She is literally, from all of the sinners, the least special one. And it's not even a joke. It's not even like, haha, she's not special at all, no. Again, let's consider all the sinners again. Yi-Sang, genius created the mirror. Dawn, vampire. Ryoshu, relic wielder. Merso, apparently one of the big guys in N-Corp. Heathcliff, normal guy, but he can be a necromancer if he wants. Sinclair has the mark. Gregor, the Wings the size of weapon. Otis, probably someone very important in the war, and apparently one of the most powerful sinners in the bus as well. Did I miss someone? Faust, a genius. Hong Lu, literally the Jade of H-Corps. Ishmael, just a sailor woman that actually joined a deadly voyage and survived. Rhodia, a woman from the back streets that killed for money to help people, and her act of, violence ended up killing the people she was trying to protect. You see what I mean? I think the game, unless they managed to pull something out really, really good, I failed how can they make Rhodia a little better. Because right now, compared to everyone in the bus, she is literally not special at all. Maybe that's what makes her special, but it's still not very good. It's still not very good. Well, we have charged for all our attacks. I think we're charged up, bucked up, and ready to rock. We don't have to worry about friendly fire no more. I guess the only special power that Rhodia has is the ability to dimension hide food in her pockets for an entire bus worth of people. If you recall from the Arknights collab, she literally just pulled out an infinite amount of bread from her pockets to feed the sinners as they stayed over at Iberia. Anyway, I'm a little lost track of all this talking. Rhodia, right? Rhodia. We're gonna read the epilogue today and see what else you can squeeze out. Kind of want to replay Kanto True, see how it goes. If I missed anything, or is Rhodia just that's Rhodia. They really chickened out to give me the Time Reaper idea as well. Now that I think about it. People keep saying there is a theory that is going to be a traitor in Limbus company, and I guess the one that has the most issues of betraying us would be Gregor or Rhodia. We actually don't know what Rhodia. We kind of have an idea of the other characters, what they want for their contracts, but we don't actually know what Rhodia wants. What did Rhodia wish for on the Golden Bough? And again, the Golden Bough we recovered on her mission was given to us. We didn't earn it. Alright, 5th floor. We're doing great. I'm not gonna go Dusk of Ember because we don't have ranged unbreakables to deal with that ammo. Let's gonna go with Unrelenting Might. I want this. We're gonna play for a little bit more. We need to win 6 combat encounters, and every turn we're gonna have a staggered failure. Alright, I am overriding the team loadout because we got something that I wanted, and this takes priority. Override accepted and active. We're gonna have a staggered team member every turn, and so that is the one hidden achievement that I didn't have. That one gift. So we're going a little bit further on the dungeon today, because I have decided to do so, and we're win rate. I shouldn't have win rate. I just realized that was a bad idea to win rate, huh? Oh, let's update that friendly fire once it occurs. Here comes the Mind Whip. Okay, target the right individual. Check. Right. I want more water. I ran out of water. And no friendly fire. Okay. Got lucky. Got real lucky. Who gets staggered now? It's her. Does the stagger remove stagger threshold? No. Over here, you go over there, and you go over here. And you go over there. You cancel that evade, will ya? We don't want any evading. No evade for you, Mr. Enemy.
노력은 가상하지만 지원하지.
Right. Ooh, well, someone is calling me again. That is actually from my town. Hold on, I gotta take this. Hello? Hello? Moshi Moshi. Well, the bot call.
작동.
So, if you ever get phone calls and no one picks it up, allow me to tell you why that is. They have bots making calls for a list of phone numbers. And the bots will just do their thing. They just boop, 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 call one after the other. If someone picks up the call, the bot will try to redirect the call to someone in the team that is available. If there is no one available, the bot closes the call. That means that if you're getting a call and no one says anything, that's the bot trying to find someone to talk to you. Some bots are a little bit more advanced and will put some pre-recorded message or someone say, wait a minute, just a second, hello, wait a minute, hello, just a second, etc, etc. But this is what you get when the bot's trying to call you and hate it.
조용히. 조용히.
Mind whip! We need
지원하지.
to win 6 combats like this. It's going to be easy. We have a full team, and again, I overrided the dungeon because of this. Because again, only achievement I'm missing for the hidden is the particular gift we just got. So we're gonna extend the dungeon a little bit into the superposition mode so that we can get the achievement. I don't care about it. I don't gonna say I don't care about them. I do care about them a lot. I go out of my way to do achievements because sometimes they are fun. It is fun to do a few challenges here and there. Some of them which are too restrictive are dumb, but otherwise they are, sometimes achievements are fun. Sometimes. We need 2 more combats. This guy is easy, but we're gonna go for the unfocused ones.
우동은 저가
So
없다면
we are combat maxing
내가
right now.
해결해야겠지.
It's the guys. You remember these guys, right? They are the guys. They exist. They're there. They do things. They are mostly known for applying like 5 billion bleed on us.
조용히.
Nice job, Honglu. We brought the instant microwave team.
노력은 가상하지. 지원 시퀀스. 작동. 지원하지.
I remember refusing that ego gift in the past a few times because I was running a solo and I regret it now. But hey, now we have the achievement, the purifying. Sanguine dots against photoelectric harpoon.
완전히 있어.
Whip him! Whip him! Whip him! Where there's a mind whip, there's a way.
지원하지.
He's charged up, he's ready to go. We got the charge gift, we're good to go. And here we have the excellent skill tree from this multi-crack Faust that hits silly amounts of damage. I do wonder if they do revisit Rodius Kanto, who the fuck is going to be Svidrigailov? Who the fuck is going to be Luther? Are we gonna get Sonia, Rodius' sister and mother? Did they survive? Or do they exist? This is what I want to know. Because the way they made it, the story sound is that she was alone all her life, never had a sister, never had a mother that sent money to them, and then she killed the old lady and everybody died. There's not even a mention of the sister of the old lady, if memory serves me right. So how are, if they are gonna touch up the Kanto, future for her in Paradiso, how the fuck is it going to go if you eliminate like 90% of the cast?
조용히.
Very curious about that, because literally most of the cast is just gone. So how it's going to work?
지원하지.
Alright, you're charged up. Look at that guy with 5 skills. What do you think, buddy? You think you're a solo fighter? Very nice, very nice.
한결났네요.
There we go. That is 2 combats down out of 6. Means again, we're gonna have to go to the superposition mode to get a few more. Random gift, thank you. Bell. Another focus encounter. We see. Oh, that reminds me, I gotta practice my Victor Southspire for tomorrow's tabletop session. One of the characters we're gonna be doing an interview with all the characters in the table is basically Southspire. Southspire is a great character. I love the way the actor makes his voice lines. That makes me want to play more Vermintide, but the only guy I play with isn't playing all the time. And it's just a duel instead of, you know, usually the 3 guys that play together. Ah.
지원 시퀀스 작동. 지원하지.
Good. The stagger passes on to another one. Take this. It's a stagger. It's for you. Take it. I want you to have it. I know this guy has a counter. I don't care. Because once we deploy several units in the field, we no longer have to worry about such silly things. That's the joy of not playing a solo team or duo team. The trio team was doing quite alright. Even if one gets staggered, we had someone else to take over to protect them or to use an eagle for healing. But again, we overrode the challenge of the dungeon for the achievement, which is something I'm gonna do. I don't care.
지원하지.
Are you charged up, baby? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And what about you, Lou? You good? Yes, you are fully powered up. Got those muscles rippling with static energy. The character flexes and gains 5 charge.
소란이 줄었네.
Whip it! Whip it! Whip it! More! Whip it! I wonder if a high level R-Corp right here actually does a whipping motion with a Mind Whip, and if that helps in any way, shape, or form to deal more damage. I would like to think it does. As your body is what's the word I'm thinking? Inexorably connected to your mind. I think doing a motion while you're doing magical stuff helps you pull out more power. It's not just about a matter of looking cool like you're doing a spell. Like you can just do a spell like
지원하지.
you magic. But then you do the whole movement with your hands when you cast the spell. It helps you bring out more of that magical sauce from deep within and really deal some damage.
전투에 임하겠습니다.
한결났네요.
Right, one more victory into the bag. We're gonna need one more battle before we purify the ego gift. Well, after we complete the next one. We gotta complete this, the boss fight, and then another one.
모델 45-3 충전. 전투 준비 완료.
Crabs! How wonderful. Well, good thing we brought the air fryer team. We can just fry them on the spot, grab some crab legs, and collect the succulent flesh within.
지원 시퀀스 작동. 지원하지.
He's charged up. Good. She's charged up, and you are charged up. Everybody got their charge running, so everyone is plugged on that socket.
당신은 물론 터졌군요.
조용히. 지원하지.
So, are you charged up? Yes, you are. And how about you? And about you? And about you? And there we go. Fry those crabs.
전투에 임하겠습니다.
휘말리기 싫으면 비켜.
The green goopy crabs.
지원하지. 비켜. 내가 먼저다.
Let me at him first. Christmas Rodion. So jolly, so happy. Come on. They're already up to their crab fuckery again. Around crabs, watch yourselves, because they are going to stack so much rupture on you that you're going to stub your small toe on the rock and then just explode from sheer damage. Yeah, good thing we just air fried it in the air.
소란이 줄었네요.
출력 형태 변경. 잘 지켜줬군. 온전히 있어라.
Crabs cooked. Alright, we gotta beat the boss fight and then another one before we can get the achievement. Alright, let's get a keyword for a charge. We got enough money for it now. Employee card, nice. Patrolling flashlight, also nice. Let's and some gifts. Ignore that, that's on my computer here, not on yours. And that's good for now. I'm not even gonna bother with the gifts too much. Technically, with this string would end. Well, the mirror dungeon would end after this, and we read our books. But since we got the gift, we are gonna go for another battle to purify it, so we can get the hidden achievement. Look, it's neither of the enemies that I thought it was gonna be. Interesting. Don't do that. You don't have the charm, or do you? She does. She can just mind whip from the gate, from the get-go. Interesting. Oh, everyone can just attack. Here we go. Here you go. It's whip versus whip today. One for the mind and one fate for the thorns and roses. I'm not a betting man, but if I were, I would bet on the mind whips, not on the abnormality whipcraft. And now she is slowed down. Let's see. That sounds good enough. We are all charged up and ready to go. We don't have any more mind whips that we have to watch out for. And Rhodia has enough charge to use her special without any friendly fire incidents, which we only had one, possibly two, because we didn't pay attention in that one fight where Honlu was doing something. But since Gregor is on the field, we can pretty much take off the friendly fire encounter and only bring it back when we need it. For an unbreakable coin, that one hits particularly hard. Because I feel like every time I fight this guy, I have someone that is weak to this particular damage fight, and he just takes a shit ton of damage from the snaring lasso attack, unbreakable. This is one of my least favorite abnormalities to fight. The gimmick is simple enough, but still annoys me. Yeah, I get it. It's alright, I suppose. I understand it, it's just not that interesting. Are you charged up? You are. Fucked up and ready to go. With crack. Very good, Honglu. Alright, the stagger passes on to another. Alright, it's all dominating because we have plenty of gifts. We have our level ups, Grace the Stars, and all that good shit. It's no longer a difficult fight going up. Hopefully that will change when we start doing Mirror Dungeons Extremes, and these Mirror Dungeons Extremes will not feature every single Blaze of the Stars like the ones we did for achievements before. Those were exceptional. And again, it comes down to, alright, I'm only doing this to challenge myself because I have the Starlight to do this. I can just do that. But again, it's for fun. for entertainment, to make things a little bit more spicier. But then again, we're already going to make it a lot more spicy with the Bottom Corporation and the Library of Ruin reruns, as well as other games. Now, do keep in mind, we will be playing LobCorp and Library of Ruina, yes, but it's not going to be every day, all day. It's going to be at least 2 days of the week, and then something else. And then 2 days of the week, and then something else, etc., etc. Someone needs to clash this. One second, please. Receiving a lot of messages.
집속불
To avoid it.
뇌파 충전.
Hey, what was I saying? Oh, right. Yeah, Library of Ruin, a lot of Corporation will be 2 days of the week. Then there's tabletop, book reading, and then whatever the hell I want to stream as well. It's not going to be primarily just LobCorp and just Library of Ruin all day, every day. Just like we're doing Limbus. I want to do a little bit more variety, so that is what you get, variety.
지원하지.
Alright, damage time. Kill him. Everyone is charged up. Everyone's sparking like a Christmas tree. So, kill him! Kill him now! But don't kill him too hard, because it can stagger him again. He has a decent amount of health. Ah, we need to double stagger him. He's going to recover. No. Oh well, we're just gonna have to punch through his HP now. No stagger threshold. Yeah. Well, 1000 HP is nothing. We can do that much damage real quick.
집속불 뇌파 충전.
With crap. Come on, kill this Rose Hunter already. Want to get down to the book?
지원하지.
And we can just wing rate this one, I think. Yeah, just wing rate this one. Let's
내가 먼저다.
take easy street out. Just wing rate past this. There's nothing else we can do with here. 366 HP? Yeah, it's nothing. We're gonna do that.
우리가 착한 아이였다면 빠졌을 텐데.
There we go. Creature has been defeated. And on to the Superposition Pack just to get one more combat node so that we can get the hidden achievement. Yes. Take me there. Take me now. I'm not feeling it. It doesn't matter where we go as long as we get a fight. So, I'm killing time. Why did I choose Content Content? That was a terrible pack for this. They're strong over there. They're strong fellers.
빨리 시작하시죠.
That's gonna be fine. My cell phone almost fell to the ground. The gift of stagger keeps getting passed on.
어디?
I'm just gonna re-rate this so that we can get the achievement, and then we're gonna be done. And then we're gonna read our book. We're gonna see the epilogue for Crime and Punishment and what happens to Raskolnikov once he goes to Siberia for his murder. And see what else we can expect from Limbus Company in the future. For Rodion Romanovich. Unless, now that I think of it, maybe Kim Ji-hoon just took Rodion and Dunya and just squish them into one person
지원하지.
because Rodion wasn't female, of course, but Dunia was, and they were very similar looking. Pretty too, beautiful people.
공격 범위 확인.
So I guess Rodion is Dunia, or maybe, maybe. Here's a thought. Maybe Rodion, the brother, killed the old lady and caused the whole thing to happen, and then Dunia, the sister, took his place for the blame. That could be a,
한결났네요.
that could be an interesting one.
지원하지.
Because it would be in character for Dunia to take over the blame so that Rodion could go on with his life, which would create an interesting plot where she finds out that he hasn't been using his opportunity with the money we acquired. But nah, I'm coping really, really hard right now. Contaminating new drugs inflict an absurd amount of in the building just one area high damage effect. Yes, yes it can. It is very powerful. Every gift from Papa Bongi's pack is incredibly powerful.
조용히.
That's why people always take Papa Bongi's pack, because every gift there is fantastic. Mirror Dungeon Extreme or not, Clean Needle and Thread with a powerful eagle can wipe out entire waves of enemies, because you have the damage to half of the AoE to everyone in a single attack. It is just that good. Papa Bongi, they were cooking with Papa Bongi back then.
유신이 터졌군요. 소란이 줄었네요. 우리가 착한 아이였다면
Haven't had any other friendly fire incidents because we're charged up and ready to rock.
하겠습니다.
Come on, whip him.
한결났네요.
I know some people went feral for the grunting Hong Lu when he came out. Do I need one more combat or was that 6? That was 6. We got potentialities. That is such a good gift, man. Alright, that is it. Let's warp it right now. Because it is already counts as a victory. You don't need to go further than that. So let's just claim our rewards. When I experienced a joking for somehow got the best ego gifts ever. Yes, it did. Because they were still on that library of ruin mindset. They weren't thinking about gradual power escalation or anything like that. No, it's just the best gift ever. There you go. I don't think they were expecting to need any more than that. So let's collect that achievement. I'm still missing one achievement from the campaign, although it's not necessary. I kind of want to do it. Hidden. There we go. Potentialities. The only one that I am missing is... I'm missing literally just one, which I'm going to do on my time, which is... Where is it? Collection? Yes. Finish the dungeon with 4-5 with 10 fusion recipe only tier 4 ego gifts. So we're literally going for everything fusion. Very interesting. Probably gonna do this with a multi-status ailment team to get it. I almost got it one time, so as you can see here. But that is it. Well, we did our ID study. We did our mirror dungeon. It's time to finish Crime and Punishment. Again, I don't blame you if you decided to go now, because it's not going to be exactly fun or interesting, unless you're really interested in Crime and Punishment like I am. So, if you're going now, if you're here for a Limbus Company gameplay, now is the time to go, because we're going to do a reading. We're going to go right away. Before leaving, though, let me ask you if you could leave a like, a comment, a subscribe, maybe. That would be very helpful. I would like it a lot, and I would be very happy to. In any case, we're going to read the epilogue for Crime and Punishment. Now, we're going to finish this in one go, so we don't have to do it tomorrow, so you can just have a chill time tomorrow. And again, tomorrow is maintenance day before Walpurgis, so get ready for that. So, here we are. Epilogue for Crime and Punishment. New to Limbus. How many pages is there of this, actually, before I decide to read all of them? There is 2 chapters. 2 chapters, that's easy. That's easy enough. All right. Let's buckle up. Let's finish this. Let's finish the fight, soldier. What are you doing in Siberia, Master Chief? Epilogue, Chapter 1. Siberia. On the banks of a broad, solitary river stands a town, one of the administrative centers of Russia. In the town, there is a fortress, and in the fortress, there is a prison. In the prison, the second-class convict Rodion Raskolnikov has been confined for 9 months. Almost a year and a half has passed since his crime. There had been little difficulty about his trial. The criminal adhered exactly, firmly, and clearly to his statement. He did not confuse or misrepresent the fact, or soften them in his own interest, or omit the smallest detail. He explained every incident of the murder, the secret of the pledge, the piece of wood with a strip of metal, which was found in the murdered woman's hand. He described minutely how he had taken her keys, what they were like, as well as the chest and its contents. He explained the mystery of Lizaveta's murder, described how Coach and after him the student knocked and repeated all they had to say to one another, how afterwards he had run downstairs and heard Nikolai and Dmitri shouting, how he had hidden in the empty apartment and afterward gone home. He finished by indicating the stone in the yard off the Voznesensky Prospect under which the purse and the trinkets were found. The whole thing, in fact, was perfectly clear. The lawyers and the judges were very much struck, amongst other things, by the fact that he had hidden the trinkets in the purse under a stone without making use of them, and that, what was more, he did not now remember what the trinkets were like, or even how many there were. The fact that he had never opened the purse and did not even know how much was in it seemed incredible. It turned out to hold 317 rubles and 60 kopecks. Because it had been lying under stone for so long, some of the most valuable notes had suffered from the dam. They spent a long while trying to discover why the accused man should tell a lie about this when he had made a truthful and straightforward confession about everything else. Finally, some of the lawyers more versed in psychology admitted that it was possible he had really not looked into the purse, and so didn't know what it was in it when he hid it under the stone. But they immediately deduced that the crime could only have been committed through temporary mental derangement, through homicidal mania, without any purpose of pursuit of gain. This fell in with the most recent fashionable theory of temporary insanity, so often applied nowadays in criminal cases. Moreover, Raskolnikov's hypochondriac condition was proved by many witnesses, by Dr. Zosimov, his fellow former students, his landlady, and her servant. All this pointed strongly to the conclusion that Raskolnikov was not quite like an ordinary murderer and robber, but that there was another element in the case. To the intense annoyance of those who maintained this opinion, the criminal scarcely attempted to defend himself. To the decided question as to what motive impelled him to the murder and the robbery, he answered very clearly with the coarsest frankness that the cause was his miserable position, his poverty and helplessness, and his desire to provide for his first step in life by the help of the 3,000 rubles he had reckoned on finding. He had been led to the murder through his shallow and cowardly nature, exasperated moreover by poverty and failure. The question what led him to confess, he answered that it was his heartfelt repentance. All this was almost coarse. The sentence, however, was more merciful than could have been expected, perhaps partly because the criminal had not tried to justify himself, but had rather shown a desire to exaggerate his guilt. All the strange and peculiar circumstances of the crime were taken in consideration. There could be no doubt of the abnormal and poverty-stricken condition of the criminal at the time. The fact that he had made no use of what he had stolen was put down partly to the effect of remorse, partly to his abnormal mental state at the time of the crime. Incidentally, the murder of Elizaveta served in fact to confirm the last hypothesis. A man commits 2 murders and forgets that the door is open. Finally, the confession. At the very moment when the case was hopelessly muddled by the false evidence given by Nikolai through melancholy and fanaticism, and when, moreover, there were no proofs against the real criminal, no suspicions even, Porfiry Petrovich fully kept his word. All this did much to soften the sentence. Other circumstances, too, in the prisoner's favor came out quite unexpectedly. Razumiki somehow discovered and proved that while Raskolnikov was at the university, he had helped a poor consumptive fellow student and had spent his last penny on supporting him for 6 months. When his student died, leaving a decrepit old father whom he had maintained almost from his 13th year, Raskolnikov had gotten the old man into a hospital and paid for his funeral when he died. Raskolnikov's landlady bore witness, too, that when they had lived in another house at 5 corners, Raskolnikov had rescued 2 little children from a house on fire and was burnt in doing so. This was investigated and fairly well confirmed by many witnesses. These facts made an impression in his favor, and in the end, the criminal was, in consideration of extenuating circumstances, condemned to penal servitude in the second class for a term of 8 years only. At the very beginning of the trial, Raskolnikov's mother fell ill. Dunya Razumikhin found it impossible to get her out of Petersburg during the trial. Razumikhin chose a town on the railway not far from Petersburg, so as to be able to follow up every step of the trial and at the same time to see Avdotya Romanovna as often as possible. Pulcheria Alexandrovna's illness was a strange nervous one and was accompanied by a partial derangement of her intellect. When Dunya returned from her last interview with her brother, she had found her mother already ill in feverish delirium. That evening, Razumikhin and she agreed what answers they must make to her mother's question about Raskolnikov, and made up a complete story for her mother's benefit that he had to go away to a distant part of Russia on a business commission, which would eventually bring him money and renown. But they were struck by the fact that Pulcheria Alexandrovna never asked them anything on the subject, neither then nor thereafter. On the contrary, she had her own version of her son's sudden departure. She told them with tears how he had come to say goodbye to her, hinting that she alone knew many mysterious and important facts, and that Rodia had many very powerful enemies. Many very powerful enemies? Is that correct? No. Had many very powerful enemies. So that it was necessary for him to be in hiding. As for his future career, she had no doubt that it would be brilliant when certain sinister influences could be removed. She assured Razumikhin that her son would be one day a great statesman, that his article and brilliant literary talent proved it. She read this article continually. She even read it aloud, almost took it to bed with her, but scarcely asked where Rodia was. Though the subject was obviously avoided by the others, which might have been enough to awaken her suspicion. They began to be frightened at last at Pulcheria Alexandrovna's strange silence on certain subjects. She did not, for instance, complain that she never received any letters from him, though in previous years she had lived solely on the hope of letters from her beloved Rodia. This was a cause of great uneasiness to Dunya. The idea occurred to her that her mother suspected there was something terrible in her son's fate and was afraid to ask, for fear of hearing something still more awful. In any case, Dunya saw clearly that her mother was not in full possession of her faculties. Once or twice, however, Pulcheria Alexandrovna gave such a turn to the conversation that it was impossible to answer her without mentioning where Rodia was, and on receiving unsatisfactory and suspicious answer, she immediately became gloomy and silent. Such moods would last for a long time. Dunya saw at last that it was hard to deceive her and came to the conclusion that it was better to be absolutely silent on certain points. But it became more and more evident that the poor mother suspected something terrible. Dunya remembered her brother telling her that her mother had overheard her talking in her sleep on the night after her interview with Svidrigailov, and before the fatal day of the confession, had she not understood something from that. Sometimes days and even weeks of gloomy silence and tears would be followed by a period of hysterical animation, and the invalid would begin to talk almost incessantly of her son, of her hopes, of his future. Her ideas were sometimes very strange. They humored her, pretended to agree with her. She saw perhaps that they were pretending, but she still went on talking. 5 months after Raskolnikov's confession, he was sentenced. Razumikhin and Sonia saw him in prison as often as possible. At last, the moment of separation came. Dunya swore to her brother that the separation should not be forever. Razumikhin did the same. Razumikhin, in his youthful ardor, had firmly resolved to lay the foundations at least of a secure livelihood during the next 3 or 4 years, save up a certain sum, and emigrate to Siberia, a country rich in every natural resource and in need of workers, active men, and capital. There they would settle in the town where Rodia would be living and begin a new life together. They all wept when they parted. Raskolnikov had been very dreamy for the few days before. He asked a great deal about his mother and was constantly anxious about her. He worried so much about her that it alarmed Dunya. When he heard about his mother's illness, he became very gloomy. With Sonia, he was particularly reserved all the time. With the help of the money left to her by Svidrigailov, Sonia had long ago made her preparations to follow the party of convicts in which he was dispatched to Siberia. Not a word passed between Raskolnikov and her on the subject, but both knew that was how it was going to be. At their final parting, he smiled strangely at his sisters and Razumikhin's fervent anticipations of their happy future together when he would come out of prison. He predicted that their mother's illness would soon end fatally. At last, Sonia and he set off. 2 months later, Dunya was married to Razumikhin. It was a quiet and sorrowful wedding. Porfiry Petrovich and Zosimov, however, were invited. During this whole period, Razumixin wore an air of resolute determination. Dunya implicitly believed he would carry out his plans, and indeed she could not but believe in him. He displayed a rare strength of will. Among other things, he began attending university lectures again in order to take his degree. They were continually making plans for the future. Both counted on settling in Siberia within 5 years at least, until they rested their hopes on Sonia. Until then, they rested their hopes on Sonia. Pulcheria Alexandrovna was delighted to give her blessing to Dunya's marriage with Razumixin, but after the marriage, she became even more melancholy and anxious. To give her pleasure, Razumixin told her how Raskolnikov had looked after the poor student and his decrepit father, and how a year ago he had been burned and injured in rescuing 2 little children from a fire. These 2 pieces of news excited Pulcheria Alexandrovna's disordered imagination almost to ecstasy. She talked about them continually, even entering into conversation with strangers in the street, though Dunya always accompanied her. In public conveyances and stores, whether she could capture a listener, she would start talking about her son, his article, how he had helped the student, how he had been burnt in the fire, and so on. Dunya did not know how to restrain her. Apart from the danger of her morbid excitement, there was the risk of someone recalling Raskolnikov's name and speaking of the recent trial. Pulcheria Alexandrovna found out the address of the mother of the 2 children, and her son had saved and insisted on going to see her. At last, her restlessness reached an extreme point. She would sometimes begin to cry suddenly and was often ill and feverishly delirious. One morning, she declared that by her reckoning, Rodia should soon be home. That she remembered when he said goodbye to her, he said that they must expect him back in 9 months. She began to prepare for his arrival, began to do up her room for him, to clean the furniture, to wash and put up new hangings, and so on. Dunya was anxious, but said nothing and helped her to arrange the room. After a fatiguing day spent in continual fantasies, in joyful daydreams and tears, Pulcheria Alexandrovna was taken ill in the night, and by morning she was feverish and delirious. It was a brain fever. She died within a fortnight. In her delirium, she dropped hints which showed that she knew a great deal more about her son's terrible fate than they had supposed. For a long time, Raskolnikov did not know of his mother's death. Though a regular correspondence had been maintained from the time he reached Siberia, it was carried on by means of Sonia, who wrote every month to the Razumixins and received replies with unfailing regularity. First, they found Sonia's letter dry and unsatisfactory, but later on they came to the conclusion that the letters could not be better, since from these letters they received a complete picture of their unfortunate brother's life. Sonia's letters were full of the most matter-of-fact detail, the simplest and clearest description of all Raskolnikov's surroundings as a convict. There was no word of her own hopes, no predictions for the future, no description of her feelings. Instead of any attempt to interpret his state of mind and inner life, she gave them simple facts, that is, his own words, an exact account of his health, what he asked for at their interviews, what commission he gave her, and so on. All these facts she gave with extraordinary minuteness. The picture of their unhappy brother stood out at last with great clarity and precision. There could be no mistake, because nothing was given but facts. But Dunya and her husband could derive little comfort from the news, especially at first. Sonia wrote that he was constantly sullen and unready to talk, that he scarcely seemed interested in the news she gave him from their letters, that he sometimes asked after his mother, and that when, seeing that he had guessed the truth, she told him at last of her death. She was surprised to find that he did not seem greatly affected by it, not externally at any rate. She told them that, although he seemed so wrapped up in himself and, as it were, shut himself off from everyone, he took a very direct and simple view of his new life. That he understood his position, expected nothing better for the time being, had no ill-founded hopes, as is so common in his position, and scarcely seemed surprised at anything in his surroundings, which were so unlike anything he had known before. She wrote that his health was satisfactory. He did his work without shirking or seeking to do more. He was almost indifferent about food, but except on Sundays and holidays, the food was so bad that at least he had been glad to accept some money to have his own tea every day. He begged her not to trouble about anything else, declaring that all the fuss only annoyed him. Sonia wrote further that in prison he shared the same room with the rest, that she had not seen the inside of their barracks, but concluded that they were crowded, miserable, unhealthy, that he slept on a plank bed with a rug under him and was unwilling to make any other arrangement. but that he lived so poorly and roughly, not from any intention or plan, but simply from inattention and indifference. Sonia wrote simply that he had at first shown no interest in her visits, had almost been irritated with her for coming, had even been rude to her and unwilling to talk. But in the end, these visits had become a habit and almost a necessity for him, and he was positively distressed when she was ill for several days and could not come to see him. She used to meet him on holidays at the prison gates or in the guard room, to which he would be brought for a few minutes to be with her. On working days, she would go to see him at work either in the workshops or the brick kilns, or at the sheds on the bank of the Irtish River. About herself, Sonia wrote that she had succeeded in making some acquaintances in the town, that she sewed, and that she was scarcely a dressmaker in the vicinity. She was looked upon as an indispensable person in many houses, but she did not mention that the authorities were, through her, interested in Raskolnikov, that his task was lightened, and so on. At last the news came, Dunya had indeed noticed signs of alarm and uneasiness in preceding letters, that he had remained aloof from everyone, that his fellow prisoners did not like him, that he kept silent for days at a time and was becoming very pale. In the last letter, Sonia wrote that he had taken very seriously ill and was in the convict ward of the hospital. He was ill for a long time, but it was not from the horrors of prison life, not the hard labor, the bad food, the shaven head, or the patched clothes that crushed him. What did he care for all these trials and hardships? He was even glad of the hard work. Physically exhausted, he would at least count on a few hours of quiet sleep. What did the food matter to him? The thin cabbage soup with beetles floating in it? Yum! In the past, as a student, he had often not had even that. His clothes were warm and suited to his way of life. He did not even feel the change. Was he ashamed of his shaven head and his prison coat? In whose presence? Sonia's? Sonia was afraid of him. How could he feel ashamed in her presence? And yet, he was even ashamed when he came to see Sonia, because of which he tortured her with his rough, contemptuous manner. But it was not his shaven head and his chains he was ashamed of. His pride had been stung to the quick. It was wounded pride that made him ill. Oh, how happy he would have been if he could have blamed himself. He could have endured anything then, even shame and disgrace, but he judged himself severely, and his exasperated conscience found no particular terrible fault in his past, except a simple blunder which might happen to anyone. He was ashamed just because he, Raskolnikov, had so hopelessly stupidly come to grief through some decree of blind fate, and must humble himself and submit to the idiocy of a sentence in order to find peace. Vague and aimless anxiety in the present, and in the future a continual sacrifice leading to nothing. That was all that lay before him, and what comfort was it to him that at the end of 8 years he would be only 32 and able to begin a new life. What did he have to live for? What did he have to look forward to? Why should he strive? To live in order to exist? He had been ready 1,000 times before to give up existence for the sake of an idea, for a hope, even for a whim. Mere existence had always been too little for him. He had always wanted more. Perhaps it was just because of the strength of his desires that he had considered himself a man to whom more was permissible than to others. And if only fate would have sent him repentant, burning repentance that would have torn his heart and robbed him of sleep, that repentance, that awful agony of which bring visions of hanging or drowning, or he would have been glad for it. Tears and agonies would at least have been life. But he did not repent of his crime. At least he might have found relief in raging at his stupidity, as he had raged at the grotesque blunders that he brought him to the prison. But now in prison, in freedom, he thought over and criticized all of his actions, and again and by no means found them as blundering and as grotesque as they had seemed at the fatal time. In what way, he asked himself, was my theory more stupid than the others that have swarmed and clashed from the beginning of the world? You only have to look at the thing entirely independently, broadly, and uninfluenced by commonplace ideas, and my idea will be by no means seen so strange. Oh, skeptics and halfpenny philosophers, why do you halt halfway? Why does my action strike them so terrible? He said to himself. Is it because it was a crime? What is meant by crime? My consciousness is at rest. Of course, it was a legal crime. Of course, the letter of the law was broken and blood was shed. Well, punish me for the letter of the law. And that's enough. Of course, in that case, many of the benefactors of mankind who snatched power for themselves instead of inheriting it ought to have been punished at their first steps. But those men succeeded, and so they were right. I didn't, and so I had no right to have taken that step. It was only in that he recognized his criminality, only in the fact that he had been unsuccessful and had confessed it. He suffered for another question. Why had he not killed himself? Why had he stood looking at the river and preferred to confess? Was the desire to live so strong and was it so hard to overcome it? Had not Svidrigailov overcome it, although he was afraid of death? In his misery, he asked himself this question and could not understand that, the very time he had been standing looking at the river, he had perhaps been dimly conscious of the fundamental falsity in himself and his convictions. He didn't understand that the consciousness might be the promise of a future crisis, of a new view of life, and of his future resurrection. He preferred to attribute it to the dead weight of instinct, which he would not step over, again through weakness and meanness. He looked at his fellow prisoners and was amazed to see how they all loved life and prized it. It seemed to him that they loved and valued life more in prison than in freedom. What terrible agonies and privations some of them, their tramps for instance, had endured! Could they care so much for a ray of sunshine, for the primeval forest, the cold spring hidden away in some unseen spot which the tramp had marked 3 years before, and longed to see again as he might to see his sweetheart, dreaming of the green grass round it and the birds singing in the bush? As he went on, he saw even more inexplicable examples. In prison, of course, there was a great deal he did not see and did not want to see. He lived, as it were, with downcast eyes. It was loathsome and unbearable for him to look, but in the end, there was much that surprised him, and he began, as it were, involuntarily to notice much that he had not suspected before. What surprised him most of all was the terrible, impossible gulf that lay between him and all the rest of them. They seemed to be a different species, and he looked at them, and they at him, with distrust and hostility. He recognized and understood the reasons for his isolation, but he would never have admitted until then that the reasons were so deep and strong. There were some Polish exiles, political prisoners among them. They simply looked down upon everyone else and treated them like ignorant fools, but Raskolnikov could not look upon them like that. He saw that these ignorant men were in many aspects far wiser than the Poles. There were some Russians who were just as contemptuous, former officer and true seminarian. Raskolnikov saw their mistake as clearly. He was disliked and avoided by everyone. They finally even began to hate him. Why, he could not tell. Men who had been guilty of far greater offenses despised and laughed at his crime. "You're a gentleman," they used to say. "You shouldn't hack about with an axe. That's not a gentleman's work." The second week in Lent, his turn came to take the sacrament with his gang. He went to the church and prayed with the others. A quarrel broke out one day. He did not know how. Everyone fell on him at once in a fury. "You're an infidel! You don't believe in God!" they shouted. "You ought to be killed!" He had never talked to them about God or his belief, but they wanted to kill him because he was an infidel. He said nothing. One of the prisoners rushed at him with an absolute frenzy. Raskolnikov awaited him calmly and silently. His eyebrows did not quiver, his face did not flinch. The guard succeeded in intervening between him and his assailant, or there would have been bloodshed. There was another question he could not resolve. Why were they all so fond of Sonia? She did not try to win their favor, she rarely met them, only occasionally coming to see him at work, and even then only for a moment, and yet everybody knew her. They knew that she had come out to follow him, knew how and where she lived. She never gave them money, did them no particular service. Only once at Christmas did she send them all presents of pies and rolls, but by degrees closer relations sprang up between them and Sonia. She would write and post letters for them to their relations. Relations of the prisoners would visit the town at their instructions, left presents and money for them with Sonia. Their wives and sweethearts knew her and used to visit her, and when she visited Raskolnikov at work or met a party of the prisoners on the road, they all took off their hats to her. "Little Mother Sofia Semyonovna, you are our dear, good little mother," coarse-branded criminals said to that frail little creature. She would smile and bow to them, and everyone was delighted when she smiled. They even admired her gait and turned around to watch her walking. They admired her too for being so little, and, in fact, did not know what to admire her most for. They even came to her for help with their illnesses. He was in the hospital from the middle of Lent until after Easter. When he was better, he remembered the dreams he had while he was feverish and delirious. He dreamt that the whole world was condemned to a terrible, strange new plague that he had come to Europe from the depths of Asia. Everyone was to be destroyed except a few chosen ones. Some sort of new microbe was attacking people's bodies, but these microbes were endowed with intelligence and will. Men attacked by them became instantly furious and mad, but never had men considered themselves so intellectual and so completely in possession of the truth as these sufferers. Never had they considered their whole decisions, their scientific conclusions, their moral convictions so infallible. Whole villages, whole towns, and people were driven mad by the infection. Everyone was excited and did not understand one another. Each thought that he alone had the truth and was wretched looking at the others, beat himself on the breast, wept, and wrung his hand. They did not know how to judge, and could not agree what to consider evil and what good. They did not know who to blame, who to justify. Men killed each other in a sort of senseless spite. They gathered together in armies against one another, but even on the march, the armies would begin attacking each other. Their ranks would be broken, and the soldiers would fall on each other, stabbing and cutting, biting and devouring each other. The alarm bells kept ringing all day long in the towns. Men rushed together, but why they were summoned and who was summoning them, no one knew. The most ordinary trades were abandoned, because everyone proposed their own ideas and their own improvements, and they could not agree. The land, too, was abandoned. Men met in groups, agreed on something, swore to keep together, but at once began on something quite different from what they had proposed. They accused one another, fought, and killed each other. There were conflagrations and famine. All men and all things were involved in destruction. The plague spread and moved further and further. Only a few men could be saved in the whole world. They were a pure chosen people, destined to found a new race and a new life, to renew and purify the earth. But no one had seen these men. No one had heard their words or their voices. Raskolnikov was worried that this senseless dream haunted his memory so miserably that the impression of this feverish delirium persisted so long. The second week after Easter had come. There were warm, bright spring days. In the prison ward, the grating windows under which the sentinel paced were open. Sonia had only been able to visit him twice during his illness. Each time she had to obtain permission. It was difficult. But she often used to come to the hospital yard, especially in the evening, sometimes only to stand a minute and look upon the windows of the ward. One evening, when he was almost well again, Raskolnikov fell asleep. When he awoke, he happened to go to the window, and at once he saw Sonia, in the distance at the hospital gate. She seemed to be waiting for someone. Something almost stabbed his heart at that moment. He shuddered and moved away from the window. The next day, Sonia did not come, nor the day after. He noticed that he was expecting her uneasily. At last, he was discharged. On reaching the prison, he learned from the convicts that Sofia Semenovna was lying ill at home and was unable to go out. He was very uneasy and sent a message to inquire after her. He soon learned that her illness was not dangerous. Hearing that, he was anxious about her. Sonia sent him a penciled note, telling him that she was much better, that she had a slight cold, and that she would come soon, very soon, and see him at work. His heart throbbed painfully as he read it. Again, it was a warm, bright day. Early in the morning, at 6 o'clock, he went off to work on the riverbank, where he used to pound alabaster and had a kiln for baking it in a shed. There were only 3 of them who were sent. One of the convicts went with a guard to the fortress to fetch a tool. The other began getting the wood ready and laying it in on the kiln. Raskolnikov came out of the shed onto the river bank, sat down on a heap of logs by the shed, and began gazing at the wide, deserted river. From the high bank, a broad landscape opened before him. The sound of singing floated faintly audible from the other bank. The vast steppe, bathed in sunshine, he could just see, like black specks, the nomads' tents. There was freedom. Other men were living, utterly unlike those here. There, time itself seemed to stand still, as though the age of Abraham and his flocks had not passed. Raskolnikov sat gazing. His thoughts passed into daydreams, into contemplation. He thought of nothing but a vague restlessness excited and troubled him. Suddenly he found Sonia beside him. She had come up noiselessly and sat down at his side. It was still quite early. The morning chill was still sharp. She wore her threadbare old wrap and the green shawl. Her face still showed signs of illness, and it was thinner and paler. She gave him a joyful, welcoming smile, but held out her hand with her usual timidity. She was always timid about holding out her hand to him, and sometimes did not offer it at all, as though she were afraid he would repel it. He always took her hand, as if with repugnance, always seemed irritated to meet her, and was sometimes obstinately silent throughout her visit. Sometimes she trembled before him and went away deeply upset. But now their hands did not part. He stole a rapid glance at her and dropped his eyes on the ground without speaking. They were alone. No one had seen them. The guard had turned away for the time being. How it happened, he did not know, but all at once something seemed to seize him and fling him at her feet. He wept and threw his arms around her knees. First instant she was terribly frightened and she turned pale. She jumped up and looked at him trembling. But at the same moment she understood. A light of infinite happiness came into her eyes. She knew and had no doubt that he loved her above everything else, and at last the moment had come. They wanted to speak, but could not. Tears stood in their eyes. They were both pale and thin, but those sick, pale faces were bright with the dawn of a new future, of a full resurrection into a new life. They were renewed by love. The heart of each held infinite sources of life for the heart of the other. They resolved to wait and be patient. They had another 7 years to wait, and what terrible suffering and what infinite happiness before them. But he had risen again, and he knew it and felt it in his whole being, while she lived through him alone. On the evening of the same day, when the barracks were locked, Raskolnikov lay on his plank bed and thought of her. He had even imagined that day all the convicts who had been his enemies looked at him differently. He had even started talking to them, and they answered him in a friendly way. He remembered that now, and though it was bound to be so, wasn't everything now bound to be changed? He thought of her. He remembered how continually he had tormented her and wounded her heart. He remembered her pale, thin little face, but these recollections scarcely troubled him now. He knew with what infinite love he would now repay all her sufferings, and what were all the agonies of the past. Everything, even his crime, his sentence, and his imprisonment, seemed to him now, in the first rush of feeling, an external strange fact which he had no concern. He could not think of anything for long that evening, and he could not have analyzed anything consciously. He was simply feeling. Life had stepped into the place of theory, and something quite different would work itself out in his mind. Under his pillow lay the New Testament. He took it up mechanically. The book belonged to Sonia. It was the one from which she had read off the raising of Lazarus to him. At first, he was afraid that she would worry him about religion, would talk about the gospel and pester him with books. But to his great surprise, she had not once approached the subject and had even offered him the Testament. He had asked her for it himself, not long before his illness, and she brought him the book without a word. Until now, he had not opened it. He did open it now, but one thought passed through his mind. Can her convictions not be mine now? Her feelings and her aspirations, at least? She, too, had been greatly agitated that day, and at night she was taken ill again. But she was so happy, and so unexpectedly happy, that she was almost frightened of her happiness. 7 years, only 7 years. The beginning of their happiness, at some moments they were both ready to look on those 7 years as though they were 7 days. He did not know that the new life would not be given to him for nothing, that he would have to pay dearly for it, that it would cost him great striving, great suffering. But that is the beginning of a new story, the story of the gradual renewal of a man, the story of his gradual regeneration, of his transition from one world into another, of his initiation into a new unknown life. That might be the subject of a new story, but our present story is over. The end. Yay! That was beautiful. There is Dostoyevsky. There is that guy. There's Dostoyevsky again. There's that guy. In any case, that is Crime and Punishment. We finished it today, and we don't have book reading tomorrow. So tomorrow is just, Limbus Company, Mirror Dungeon. But that was fun. I like this book a lot. It's a really, really good book. In any case, that is it for today, my friends. Look at Rhodia. I hope they get her a good canto, man. A good second canto. Anyway, that is it for today, my friends. And we did our ID study, we did our Mirror Dungeon, and we finished our book. So, book reading now, its own episode, whenever you want to watch it or not. It's gonna be on Saturdays or Sundays, depends on my mood, really. Anyway, that's it for today. If you enjoyed the stream, please recommend it to your friends, but if you didn't, please recommend it to your enemies. Thank you all so much for being here. Sweet kisses and goodbye.